Like, make sure he doesn't like get too close to the make sure he doesn't get too close to the church. We don't actually need this reputation of our household being like, we don't need an Aethar coming back and telling us we're all sinners.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you can do whatever you think will fit in. Let me give you the part of the character I had pretty much formed in my head what I built the rest of it around. If you want to do this.
Okay.
So I think his ideal is give me a reason. And it's when he comes across a bunch of people doing stuff like heresy or whatever, he just talks to him like, okay, look, buddy, give me a reason to write this up as like a minor incident. Maybe you didn't realize this was heretical material. Maybe there was someone else leading things and you're not actually running them. Just give me a reason for my report.
Okay.
So it could be the other way around then. Maybe your household has some connection to one of these offshoots, and that's one of the reasons Destil is on the outs with them.
Could be.
I'll leave that up to you. That sounds like it could be your.
Sounds better. That sounds better. Yeah.
We don't want an Aetherite coming back and telling us we're all
An Aetherite Inquisitor coming back and telling us.
So I still have Treble and Saul. Have you guys decided what your second class is going to be?
I have two choices, and I'm just waiting to hear what everybody else, because it's gonna either or is fine for me. I'm just trying to see what niches we need filled in.
Saul, have you decided yet?
Well, I really wanted to be a rogue, but I don't know if I can make that work with.
You can. We had a whole campaign with 2 rogues, and they worked so effectively together. You can. There is wide variety in class structure in 5e.
Oh yeah, so
I mean,
I was.
Birdie and Red also got along great. Let's not smash words.
I wanted to play like a really socially inclined character, and a rogue seemed like a good way to go with that.
There was a couple rogue subclasses that make that work.
Yes, I wanted to be a mastermind.
The mastermind is that's what Red
Might
was.
actually get some use out of it.
That's what Red was, and
Okay.
Yeah,
Flumph.
So,
Red
should I
was.
put you down as a rogue?
Yes, that is what I strongly. As long as I can figure out. There's a feat that can give weapon proficiencies, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's just called
Okay.
weapon proficiency.
Okay, I'll figure something out then.
So if you're going to be the face, is that what you're kind of going for? Kind of a face character?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in that case, I will.
I'm down for that.
I'm not going to be a bard. I'm going to be an artificer. Sorry, that means we're not going to have infinite holy water forever.
Which means we have guns instead.
I am going to be an artificer that is probably more than likely going to be an artillerist.
So okay,
I don't think you have to pick until level 3.
Treble
You don't.
and Soul are your twins.
Right.
So Treble, it sounds like you kind of take more after your father, the speaker,
Right.
and then Soul, you take more after your big sister, the politician.
Yes, and I feel like my character is very jealous that the older sister gets all the power and responsibilities, and is possibly very angry about that.
Okay.
But also wants to keep, also is very protective of her house and wants. She would be more angry of someone else messing with us because, you stay out of our business, and if I'm secretly plotting to take over the house, that's my business.
So because you brought that up, I think it's a good time to point out that no matter what alignment or personality traits or flaws or anything you decide, everything your character does in this campaign, every decision you make and the adventures you go on and how they fall out, you should always be thinking, how does this strengthen my house? That should always be in the back of your mind. That should always be a goal that you guys have as individuals and as a group. Like if you
That
have,
is basically my character's ethos.
yeah, you can have a petty dispute with your big sister, but that's not something that leaves your walls.
Mm-hmm.
And you would never undermine her in public. And if you did, that's the kind of stuff that would get you kicked out of the house. All right, so I guess that we can go into personality traits and stuff then. Because this is stuff I actually do need to have on my sheet before I can plan the first major session. So does anybody need a breakdown on what alignment means?
I mean, it never hurts to go over it again.
So there are 9 alignments. I'm going to assume that we all know what they are.
Yeah.
If you don't, they're in the books. You basically choose lawful, neutral, or chaotic, and then lawful, neutral, or evil.
Good.
Yeah, good, neutral,
You
evil.
said
Are we not allowed to be good?
Be lawful.
On your character sheet, when we go to fill out our personality traits, I'm going to institute a no periods or semicolons policy for this campaign. When you go to summarize an ideal or your alignment, because we had some paragraphs in previous campaigns. We want to try to get that shortened down to just one line. I would accept a comma only under extreme duress. So your personality traits that are going to matter for this game. The first is your alignment. What you're going to do is select one of the 9 alignments and then give me just one sentence. If you were to ask your character what that alignment means, what would be their answer? If you pick a lawful good character, I know what lawful good means, but I want to know what your character thinks it means. Alignments do have metaphysical properties in D&D. There is a multiverse. There really is a lawful good plane. It really does matter whether a creature is has tendencies towards good or is capital G good all the way to the core. In fact, we have a house that's tied to celestial magic. They're probably very, very capital G good. The next personality trait that everybody has is your ideal. And this is just a sentence that describes what drives your character. Destil, I think you said yours was give me a reason.
Yep.
Type that in. That's exactly the length of sentence that I would love to see for these personality traits. This is something that every session you should try to put this ideal into some of your actions. And the next one that's important is your flaw. This is something that represents a vice or fear that you have, something bad about your character that can get the rest of the party into trouble. I think the best flaw I've ever seen was Gus's from the previous campaign, which was Drunk Gus Says Hello. We had a lot of fun with that one. During the session, your alignment, your ideal, and your flaw can earn you blips, which you can use to re-roll bad rolls or roll over into experience points. I haven't run the numbers, but I estimate at least half of the experience we got in the last campaign was given out for blips rather than combat. The other personality trait on your sheet is your bond. Your bond is a connection to other people and to the world. Your bond is going to be to your house, and more specifically, it's going to be to this household in Brennanine. You're all in this together. Whatever your personal foibles are, whatever your personal goals might be, you're here to help grow your house and establish this household in Brennanine. You're all on the same team, whatever your alignments and ideals are. I don't give blips for bonds because I consider your bond to your party to be just the baseline acceptable behavior in Dungeons and Dragons. If you're not doing that, we have bigger problems than you not getting experience. And then the other thing you'd have to pick is your background. I think Tasha's also has a bunch of new backgrounds, doesn't it? Because your background will give you starting skill and tool proficiencies and some starting equipments and things. There is a noble background that you can take that, in theory, should still be very useful for your character. If you get to a situation where your class or your background tries to give you a skill or tool proficiency that you already have, you can just give yourself any skill or tool proficiency that you want. You can't have a duplicate proficiency. And I think that means that my work for character creation is mostly done, and now I'm just going to sit here and type in the things that you guys tell me.
All right, so I got some notes for my character.
Do you have ideal alignment with flaws?
Yeah, so for the alignment, the basic tagline would be the ends justify the means.
What alignment?
I'm going neutral.
Straight up neutral?
It's going to try to be.
Okay.
You know, things like, it seemed like a good idea at the time. You have to do the best with what you have. Or, you know, I've hurt people, but they were all bad people.
Most of them were.
Most of
Thought
them.
they were.
They all had stuff we needed. It's fine. We're gonna make our house great. My character, whose name is going to be Victor, seeks the truth no matter the cost, which is kind of both an ideal and a flaw to some degree.
What would you like me to codify it as?
Oh, it's codified as an ideal.
I just want to say that Victor Veritas is actually a very cool name.
I actually decided on Victor before we knew what the house was going to be.
Now, I can definitely see this also working as a flaw, but I cannot award two blips for the same action in a session.
So for the flaw, Victor is easily distracted by a pretty face, and he usually likes to give them the benefit of the doubt. Whereas if he comes across somebody who is, let's say, not attractive, they kind of have to prove themselves. He doesn't really take what they say at face value. One of the consequences of this is that he kind of has a crush on his cousin, who happens to be the speaker's daughter, and he's very overprotective of her.
So let's summarize that in about one line for your flaw.
He's easily distracted by a pretty face.
Okay. So your goal now is to just basically level yourself up to a level 2 rogue, if you're going 1 noble 2 rogue, and grant yourself all the class features and such that you need. Is anybody Destil? What your character was Ekon?
Ekon, yeah.
Ekon?
Ekon. Ekon is how I think I want to pronounce it. Ekon.
Okay. Aethar Ekon, because you have a title.
Yep.
Hey, if anybody else has anything else for me, I'm making my
I'm still writing. Sorry, I had a character like kind of mapped out in my head, and then just discarded it and went with the Artificer. So you have to bear with me a moment.
It's good. That means you're inspired by the setting material,
Right.
or you just change your mind a lot. One of those two things.
The second one, like I said before, I had like 5 characters that I've bounced around back on.
Okay, so I've got. What's the name of the god? For the.
Aer, A-E-R. And the opposite of Aer, like the demon prince that was the cause of the 3 sunderings, would be Celios. He's the big bad guy. He's the one that hides under the bed and carries off naughty children.
That's what we're gonna have to fight at the end of the campaign. Okay, so I've got my stuff for whatchamacallit.
Okay.
Lawful good, the shining words of Aer lay down a path for us all.
I like it.
Ideal, give me a reason. And flaw, I am very easily caught up in a good story.
Does that mean you're gullible?
No, he's actually very insightful. It's just if you start talking to him and start leading him along, he's going to follow along.
Okay.
He might call bullshit on it, but he's not going to stop you from talking.
He won't interrupt you to call bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, he still needs to see how this... Yeah, he might, like, give somebody a side lie, but no, he just, like, it's very easy with something like that to get him to go along with it, even if he doesn't necessarily agree, just to see where this is going.
Okay. Alright, I like it.
Right. I provisionally got mine, although I'm not real sure on the flaw. I might have to workshop that a little bit.
My rule of thumb in a campaign, like in a session, if you want to change one of these aspects of your character, alignment, ideal, or flaw, I don't penalize you for wanting to change it, but you can't earn blips the same week you decide to change it. Like, those two things are separate. You can't just invent a new flaw every single week to get blips for it.
All right. So for my ideal, I got WWND question mark. What would Nigel do?
Okay. So you're going to be, based on that, you're going to be the one that does the most work characterizing what he's actually like then.
I have like this mental image in my brain of like a Pulp Fiction, like just Pulp Fiction action star. Like
Okay.
he wears the like pith hat and the like he's got like the short like I don't know what those shorts are called, but like picture the movie Jumanji and like
Yeah,
that big game
Oh
hunter.
God.
Like
Kurt
that.
Russell. Like I'm also like I'm getting images of Kurt Russell for some reason. I don't know why.
Like, he doesn't speak by opening his mouth. He speaks by bouncing his mustache up and down.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Oh, no.
Like this big, larger than life pulp action star. Like literally. Yeah. Chaotic neutral. When in doubt, go with your gut.
Okay.
Which is just a fancy way of saying that the character probably flies by the seat of her pants a lot. And Law, don't worry about it. It was just a setback.
That sounds like it could get people into a lot of trouble. Does your character have a name yet?
Well, I've got a couple here. What is the sister's name? Do you have one?
Me or the older sister?
You.
Oh, my character is Evie.
Like the Pokemon?
No, it's short for Evelyn. Evie.
Okay, Evelyn and okay, well I guess this one will work. Eugenia. I don't know. I just fantasy name generator.
Eugenia?
Don't at me.
Okay.
EUGENI. Yeah, okay, yeah. Eugenia and Evelyn.
Is that like eugenics, but in a name form?
Yeah, basically.
God, no, I
Eugenia.
can't name my character Edmont then.
You can.
Why not?
No, no, I can't.
We can't have 3 E's.
No, it would.
We already have
four
three
then.
E's.
It would be 4, and I can't. I just.
But
can't.
then our party could just be called V.
It's a lot of pressure, McDohl. It's a lot to think about.
What
I
we don't
hate it.
know, what we
I
don't
hate
know,
it so
what we
much.
haven't said is Victor's like name is actually spelled EVICTOR. The E is silent. Right.
Victor.
No, Victor's name is like Edward, but he hates it, so he goes by his middle name.
It's like Edward Horatio Felonius Victor Veritas.
See, I would make him change it to something with E, but Victor Veritas is too cool.
The other
Yeah,
I
thing
do
is,
that to him.
because leveling up is going to require taking a reputation. Your first level of noble, your reputation is just a member of House Veritas. Your subsequent 2 levels are going to be reputations you've earned before this campaign starts, that are tied to the class level that you've gained, at least in some loose fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And then going forward in the game, your reputation is going to be tied to feats that you actually accomplish as an adventuring party.
So, so I'm an artificer, and we do, for example, maybe. Do you mean stuff like graduating, like becoming like a full member of a guild or something?
Yeah, if you want. Graduated first of your class or something like that? Some kind of academic achievement? Sure.
Okay. Because I was thinking about taking the guild artificer background.
Yeah, that could absolutely be the case.
I'm ready.
How about youngest Athar ever awarded a full title in the province?
At what age?
13. Is that what realistically would you think the youngest one's age would be?
Probably 15, so 13 would definitely earn you reputation.
Well, I'm 15 now and I'm cleric too, so I gotta do some of the first 2.
And I heard you, Sol. I'm going to come back to you in a second. My dog is whining to get out of this room.
I heard that.
Go, be free. Oh, now she doesn't want to.
That sounds like a dog.
The other dog has come in. I'm just going to leave the door open and let them figure it out. All right, Sol, what you got for me?
Okay, so as I mentioned, my character is named Evie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning towards chaotic good. I think that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
Her aspect of that alignment is you mess with my family, you mess with me. She would go to. She's focused on. She's not like a ruthless evil person, but if you mess with her family, she will go to pretty much any length to shut you down.
Okay.
Vindictive.
She will, yes, very vindictive. Like, she looks at Cersei Lannister as like a lesson in how to suck and die. Like, so yeah, she's
I get that reference.
yeah. So yeah, her ideal is she sees herself as like the family chess master. Her sister is kind of the face, but she is the person moving things behind the scenes. Could always be moving things to her house's advantage. So her ideal is a chess player must always move her pieces to the positions of greatest advantage.
Okay.
And her flaw, like, do you know that meme of the picture of a guy saying, "I am a genius," and then the next frame is them saying, "Oh no"? That is her flaw.
Oh no.
How
So
I
is
am
that
a
where
ge-
I went?
I am a genius, oh no. Because
Okay.
I have a feeling that because she is a D&D character who is going to probably not roll above a 7 this entire campaign, many of her machinations are not going to work out very well.
Well, also because she's 18 years old and she thinks she's a chess master.
Yes, there's definitely
Yeah,
some,
we
she's definitely
did.
not yet.
We did lose our representative player who always rolls a 2, by the way. So that's
Yeah, so thank you for volunteering to take his place.
Well, if that's going to be me, don't worry.
All right, so each of you still need 2 reputations for your second and third class levels.
I got my second one. I need a third one.
All right, so I got mine.
Okay.
Okay.
How would something like a guild work in the?
Probably has a wide variance to it. Most of the guilds would be mercantile guilds because that's a large part of the controlling interest in government here.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, you could have decided, like, your parents might have apprenticed you out for a few years at one of the guilds. They might have paid your way into a prestigious school to learn a particular trade.
Well,
it's really up to you.
We have that established other family. I guess we apprenticed under them for a few years as a student exchange, as a goodwill exchange program.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out how to word that. Like I'm really unsure on how to word it. Like, so like member of House Veritas, and then like graduate of the, what is the official name of that house? House of Gear.
It doesn't have an official name. It's just the House of the Gear. But I can just put that you're a graduate from one of their guild halls.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may have one for Evie. I'm thinking she's probably the youngest female, she's won some kind of chess, or dragon chess, or whatever the equivalent in this world is.
Okay.
She's a very good the game of chess she's actually very good at. Whether that actually makes her a good mastermind or not remains to be seen, but she, I think, is probably one of the youngest female chess masters.
Or chess equivalent.
Yeah, whatever the chess equivalent is. Maybe not in the entire Republic, but in wherever she's the province.
Okay.
I don't know. That backwater province, that might not actually mean anything. That might be like...
It means a lot to her because she's 18.
Oh, yeah, it does mean a lot to her, but I'm thinking if it's something that she would actually have reputation for, it would have to be something a little better than that.
Oh, that's going to be great. Eugenia thinks you're so full of shit.
Oh, yes.
What were the evil relics called again, Brick?
Unseelie relics.
Unseelie. I thought I had anti-sealy.
Anything that is dark or evil would be considered unseelie. Whether it
Is
be
like the
magics or
term
monsters.
Seelie? Is the term Seelie used, or is it not?
It's not.
Okay, just wondering.
So for Victor, his second reputation was as the dungeon delver because he explored ancient, air quote, dwarven ruins with Uncle Nigel. Of course, we don't know if they were actually dwarven ruins or not, but they were in the mountains. So And then his level 3 reputation would be Stealer of Secrets, because he managed to get a hold of financial documentation from House and Morte about their extracurricular activities.
Okay.
Okay, so graduate.
So that's something
All right,
that
so I've got-
their house knows about you then. Because if this is a reputation you have, that means that people know that you're the one who brought this stuff to light.
It could make things interesting.
Okay, I just need to know.
Is the reputation potentially just within our house?
No, I mean, it could be. Especially at your low levels. But as you grow in level, it's going to be much, much wider range.
I meant mostly specifically for that one, where it's something maybe we don't want to get out, but should still be like a point of pride for the character.
Oh, don't worry, it'll get out.
I've got my level Cleric 1 is youngest titled Aether in the history of the province at age 13, and Cleric 2 is seized an unseelie relic from a cult with no casualties on either side. And I think my character is somewhat unique in that he considers the either side point to be relatively important.
Okay.
All right.
And then did you turn this relic over to the church?
Yeah, obviously.
Gotcha.
Wait, what's our house's operating procedure for that?
I mean,
Do we normally
officially-
turn it over to the house or the church first?
I'll leave that up to you.
We have,
Whichever the house would normally do, I did the opposite.
Okay.
we have a giant warehouse, and then we just
Top
picture-
I mean, it could mean we've established you're on the outs with your family. It could be that your family's operating procedure is usually to bring it home and have a discussion on what to do with it, and you just bypass that completely.
Yeah, I bypassed it completely and turned it over to the church, not for like any personal glory, mostly because I thought it was dangerous and hey, it was more convenient for me.
I think I have a second one for Evie.
Okay.
I think at some point, some nobleman, dishonored or disgraced the older sister in some way, and then Evie kicked his ass in a sword duel. In a bit of pique, because she felt like her house had been dishonored by this action. So
In a
she's
duel with rapiers?
yes.
Did
she
you
is
kill the
going to
guy?
be- Probably not.
Okay.
She probably left a scar though.
Just scarred him and dishonored him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not gonna bite us in the ass.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna tweak my third level rep there. Just give me a second.
I'm trying to think of a third level one, something like, so if you're a graduate, what comes after graduating?
Field work?
Yeah. I guess she inventor of something, some small minor I'm trying to think of like what could I want to say that like she invented something that the house was able to monetize. But I don't know what would be a good fit for that.
I can just put down inventor of blank,
Yeah. Inventor
which
of
became
the
a fad amongst the nobility of your province.
hair dryer.
Can you make alchemist jugs with your infusions?
She invented a hair dryer.
How does this hairdryer function?
Magic?
What's the failure rate? How often does it just set your head on fire?
But it's not like a hand hair dryer. It's like one of those great big.
Yeah, no, you have to have it installed in your house, like a big box
Yeah.
that you stick your head into.
Yeah. But like it's all the rage with the nobles.
Sure.
Like all the ladies have to have one. Just sorry, that was just the dumbest thing I could think of.
And
Like the most dumbest.
only 3 of them have had their eyeballs melted out of their head.
Like it's only got like a 1% failure rate. Maybe.
We use the
Don't worry about
Tasha's
it.
optional class features, right?
Yes, if you want.
Okay.
All right, so I want.
Atasha's has a lot of just either or class features. I'm not sure what it has for clerics.
Specifically, there's a tacked on one for the cleric that I can get a spell charge back from Channel Divinity.
Oh yeah. You can use your channel divinity to get a charge back. That's fine.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna go with the 7 whiz because my character doesn't have a whole lot of. Yeah.
It's gonna be fine. Casting like dominate person on you later. It's gonna be great.
Oh, God.
Listen, I played the entire previous campaign with a 7 wisdom.
Mhm.
You didn't cast dominate person on me a single time. I was waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it.
I feel like I
And
must have tried, because that last encounter had a mind flare on a tower.
Do we?
Not once.
We didn't end up with a bard, right? I don't need to worry about what backup instrument. I can take whatever I want for my instrument.
We have no
Yeah,
bards.
no bard.
Yeah, it's no word.
No. I rolled Artificer.
I think we all have instruments, though.
For my third level rep, I'm going to change it so instead of being a known rogue. Yeah, he discovered a cache of evil relics during a solo exploration, and of course he turned them over to the church, all of them.
Did he actually?
Sure.
Okay.
He was young and inexperienced at the time.
All right.
McDohl, do you have anything for me?
Yeah, I've got alignment, lawful neutral. Take everything you can, give nothing back.
That sounds like it has a comma in it.
No,
The Oxford comma is optional.
That's fine. Yeah, I guess. Hey, what else you got?
Burgroad hates Oxford commas. I got my ideal, eyes on the prize.
Meaning what? Does that mean like material wealth, or does it mean that you're very goal oriented?
It could be either material wealth when he's working in service to the house, or basically kind of eyes on the prize in all aspects of his life.
Okay.
And then my flaw: fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you.
Weiss?
Twice.
Okay.
He has been known to follow up on rumors that have turned out to be very not true.
And you have reputations for your 2 monk levels?
Yes, I have won a sparring tournament in South Warren Capital, and he repelled a bandit raid on his homestead.
So like a martial arts tournament?
Yeah,
And you won this tournament?
yeah.
And the second is
Oh,
that
they're
you
not what I'm-
repelled a bandit raid?
Yeah.
Okay. Does your character have a name yet? I know you were really wanting that E.
Yeah, I was hoping for that E, but then everyone wanted to be an E, and then I'm like,
You can still be an E.
You can still be an E. None of us will be mad at you.
Yeah.
You can have 2 E's. You can have 3.
You could be E. Edmund.
You could be-
E. Edmund.
Egbert Edmund Edwardson.
Edmont.
You could be Euclid.
Edmont.
Edmund?
Yeah. Edmont. EDMont.
Mont.
Mont.
Oh, Mont. Edmont. Gotcha.
But our branch of the family isn't very creative, are they?
No,
Ekon,
not really.
Edmont,
Well, we have Victor in there to combo breaker.
Eugenia, Evie, and Victor.
Isn't Victor adopted?
No.
Can't be adopted.
Victor might be
You
your
adopted,
cousin.
you gotta have blood magic.
He was the
No, I mean,
speaker's
like-
nephew.
Yeah, I was just saying he's not the direct child, is what I mean.
No.
He's basically an adopted cousin, right?
This is so dumb.
Well, you've got 3 adopted cousins in the group. You two are the twins are the only children.
Oh. I could have swore that the other rogue was a child too.
It's okay. Victor has a sister called Victoria.
Oh no.
All of your siblings start have V names. All of ours have E names.
All right. We're going to get all this stuff transcribed over to a standardized character sheet that we'll use. We can do that off stream. The last thing I need on stream is I need to know how to represent you people graphically on the board. So traditionally we use 8 or 16-bit character graphics and make you little tiles. And then the bottom of the tile is you laying on the ground dead.
For Victor, his tile needs to be a 16-bit lock from Final Fantasy VI.
Very good.
Good choice.
I mean, it's got to be Edge from 4.
For Edmont.
Yeah.
No shadow.
Nah.
Shadow's an assassin, not a ninja.
A little too on the nose.
A little bit.
Can I use Garnet from Record Keeper?
Yeah.
Then that is
Yeah,
my
there's like a whole-
expansion. We'll do a Final Fantasy theme.
Yeah, I'm looking.
I used Irvine last time around.
Sorry, Record Keeper loads slowly.
McDohl used for his first character used Balthier.
Then I kept getting his and yours mixed up on the board.
So who do we already have?
Edge, Lock, and Garnet.
Don't hate me for this, but do they have a Theodore?
Yeah, absolutely.
You sound like a Theodore.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, actually, Theodore works real well for this character. You're right.
You weren't recommending Theodore for yourself, Treble?
No.
So we're
For
doing
him.
Theodore for Destil. Alright, what about Eugenia?
I am looking. Anybody got any
Which
any
what?
suggestions?
Wait, you're. Hmm.
16-bit female.
Selfie.
Do they have a 16-bit?
Oh yeah, she's in Record Keeper.
So is the record? Hold on.
Yeah.
Record.
Yeah,
Everybody's in
Selfie's-
Record
yeah.
Keeper.
We're twins, but
Yeah.
we don't have to look alike.
Like,
no, but I'm
if
just
you-
looking at. I have to see what the record keeper sprites.
The
are.
only unplayable characters in Record Keeper are like Vossler and fucking Redis. That's literally it.
And you're very angry about it, it sounds like.
I'm angry about Redis. I don't give a fuck about
Hey, you know what?
Vossler. We've
Redis
already
is
got
awesome. You're
4
right.
knights in that realm.
They don't have Marion J from 14.
Okay, well, yeah, obviously the MMOs you could add however many random people you want. Actually, what about?
Could do Alice from 14.
I was gonna say maybe.
For Edge and Lock, should I take those sprites from Record Keeper as well for the sake of cohesiveness?
Sure.
Sure.
What about Alpha Mew from 11?
Or Alpha No.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
I
Nobody.
feel like
does.
that might fit your character okay.
Talking to
Trevor's feeling a lot of pressure to pick a Final Fantasy character, and you know what? I would have a lot of respect for him if he didn't.
if I was gonna play the monk, I know this is not here nor there. I'm just stalling for time while I'm looking. But
He's
if I were gonna play
He's
the
gonna
monk
pick a Breath
character, I
of
was...
Fire character.
oh shit!
Do it.
You do need a
Fucking Gobi.
No.
What kind of armor do you wear?
It's probably gonna be leather.
I mean, Alice.
Alice's a dog.
Oh, what about? I mean, Ysael has a cool trench coat. Seems like it fits Artificer.
I just posted a picture of her.
Edgar is very upset about something.
When is he not?
It's a good question.
Man, this is a tough decision.
Is it really that tough of a
Ye-
decision?
Yeah, it is. Listen to me. I'm
be
gonna look-
Samus.
I'm gonna have to pick this for 2 years. Just the
She's-
Samus morph ball.
You can get this character killed in 3 sessions.
I could.
I mean, yeah, this character that McDohl just posted.
There's Ysael right there.
It's all come to a standstill, Treble.
No pressure.
Holding up my day.
I'm sorry.
No, take your time.
Do you need us to start just listing Final Fantasy characters for you?
Do you want to have a ridiculous hat? You can play Princess Hilda.
You could be trendy and stylish and go with, like, Iris from 15.
There's Alice's full sheet.
Oh, you know what? the record keeper for Refia.
Oh yeah, that works.
Murphy is good
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, Refia. 100% Refia.
All right, so we're going back to our Final Fantasy roots. Everybody has chosen a Final Fantasy character. Destil has chosen a bad Final Fantasy character.
Yeah, but it's a good sprite.
Yeah, I guess.
Where is his sprite in here? After season Edge says
Alright,
Kane.
so I will make all of those and make our little overlay for characters. Usually, I
Oh, there
put
he is.
the character's name, race, and class up in the overlay, but everybody is the same race this time. So I think for this campaign, what I'll do is I'll put your character's name, class, and then a number from 1 to 10 representing how much you've pissed me off so far.
Does that number
Valid.
ever dip below 9?
It starts at 8, and that's the baseline. It's kind of... And I got to put all this information in a spreadsheet so I can award blips for everything. So at the end of every session, like during a session, you should be on the lookout. Like if you have an action in a session that connects with your alignment, ideal, or flaw, you should make a note of it. Because when we get to the end of the session, you can make the case for your alignment, ideal, or flaw and earn a blip. You can have up to 6 blips at a time. During a session, you can spend 2 blips to re-roll anything. An attack roll, a skill check, or a saving throw. You can spend 4 blips to turn any roll into an auto success, including other people's rolls. You can spend 6 blips to force an enemy to fail a check, or to recharge a class feature to get like a spell slot back or something you've used once per long rest. Or you can turn the blips over for experience points. Each blip is worth 1/30th of the amount of experience you need to go to the next level. So you can earn 3 blips for the stuff on your character sheet. Then at the end of each session, you guys are going to award each other 1 blip each for stuff to answer the questions. Which character had the most creative solution to a problem in that session? They earn a blip. Who did the most to further the party's goals in that session? Who was the badass? Like, what was the one most badass moment of the session? And then they also award just a blip for intangibles, for anything under the sun, like something that made us laugh or something that was really stupid or any other reason you guys can think of. And you'll also be awarded a blip. Anybody who watches the stream live, they can vote on a poll at the end of the session to give you guys 1/30th of an experience level. So that's why it's important to roleplay those things correctly, is because you can level up like that. And that's it. All we have to do now is figure out which of these character sheets we want to use and get it all transcribed over.
I am real quick. I am on the one I linked. I'm going ahead and I'm making the level 1. I'm adding creating a custom class with just a level 1 in case we decide we want to use that. Doesn't take long.
Okay.
So in turn,
Go
so I'm just looking at like some of my extra skill slots and proficiencies and whatnot. So I think it sounds like we have thieves' tools covered,
Very.
Yeah.
and it sounds like we probably have most of the social skills like at least somewhat covered.
Yes.
Okay. So I got religion for my background, and I got insight for my background. I'm thinking picking up perception and
Perception
survival
is
because I think I should be able to track people.
Yeah, so for my character, I'm going to do insight, investigation, perception.
Should I go over
And
the
then-
difference between investigation and perception real quick?
I understand them.
Do you? Okay.
Is there anything else that anyone feels that they need to cover, specifically not physical skills? My physical stats are not great.
Are any of us good physically? Are we going to end up in a situation where we need to open a door and we all have 5 strength?
You got thieves' tools.
We're going to need to know how to run.
I
And, I picked up the dulcimer, who we have to cover different instruments so we can play a full ensemble.
I have.
I'm very serious about
That's
this.
actually a very good idea. I have the viol,
Okay.
I was gonna do a flute. What somebody else is.
Yep. That sounds good. Got a viol, a
Drums.
flute, a dulcimer.
Drums.
Got drums. What do you got, McDohl?
I was going to take painting, but
Oh, you have to choose between those two?
yeah,
That's either two instruments or one artisan tool and one instrument. I thought.
Yeah, I took jeweler's tools on top of my dulcimer.
Yeah, I'm taking drawing tools.
Your choice
Oh.
of 2 types of artisan tools, 2 musical instruments, or 1 of each.
okay.
I mean, you don't have to join the band, but we are working as a group.
Don't, McDohl, don't feel.
I mean, they already bullied me into the E name. I'm kind of have to.
Can you take singing as a instrument proficiency?
That would be performance.
Isn't that just performance?
Okay.
Because it wouldn't be a tool proficiency at that point. Although, he could as one of his character's proficiencies, and that could be the contribution to the band.
All right. So how do I?
Do we got a
Sport
string? Do we have
this.
percussion?
Yeah, drums.
Drums.
Is it
So-
going to be like Scooby-Doo, where at the end of every session, we're going to go out with a song?
No, not Scooby Doo. Not Scooby Doo. Jabberjaw.
This last time.
So we moon out as a band, but then afterwards we go dig in the dirt.
Rick tries so hard to steer us away from the Pratchett, and yet here we are.
I don't... What's wrong with Pratchett?
Nothing. It's just you said this was going to be Game of Thrones, and then we
Hello.
immediately start. And then Destil immediately starts trying to build a band.
I feel like it took a couple hours before we got to the point where we're building a band.
Oh no, this has been in my head the entire time.
Ah.
When I got to that line of the character description, I just hadn't had an opportunity.
Okay, cello.
The equipment list granted you by your the noble class, this is stuff that's just assumed to be just on your person when you're out and about in town at the beginning of the first session. Any equipment granted to you by your class or your background. Obviously, you're going to have resources far and above that as being a member of your house. That includes stuff like your riding horse, your pair of mastiffs. You're also each this week, before we meet for next Sunday, going to have to think about who your attendant is and what role you want that person to play in the campaign. You could just decide this is a person that just stays at home all the time and just washes your clothes when you get back. It could be someone who accompanies you absolutely everywhere, including to dig sites and down to the dungeons and things. Since we have a few minutes at the end of this session, I could, if we want to, just field more questions about the setting or backstory or anything, or the current events going on.
So we're brand new to this city, and we wouldn't really have any connections to any organizations in the city yet.
Not necessarily. For example, who was it? Was it one of you is a college graduate from one of the guild halls?
That's Eugenia.
Yeah, like Eugenia. That family would have a branch in Brennan who oversees that particular house's interests. So while Eugenia probably didn't go to school here, she would have graduated from the guild hall owned and operated by that particular family. So she might have connections here already. Same thing for Ekon. If he's an ordained Aethar, well, that authority comes from the High Aethar in Brennan. Like, somebody would have had to travel out from Brennan to oversee that ceremony and grant him that title.
Do we have like a local bishop or within our province?
Oh yeah, there's somebody whose job is to, his title would not be the High Aethar, but he would be the provincial
Yeah.
Aethar.
But they'd still send out, okay.
But that person probably wouldn't be a member of your family. There would be no such provincial or regional power in Brennan. In Brennan, the High Aethar is the man. So whether you guys want to have contacts here or not, or whether you could have traveled to Brennan before in the past, that's completely up to you.
So does the city have a nice museum?
Almost certainly.
So we could have a justification for having some connections with people in the museum. They could kind of introduce us to various social circles.
Sure. I've actually codified very little of the day-to-day life in Brevity behind just broad strokes. One of the things I have done is outlined the 13 laws that are kind of the church's version of the deadly sins.
Yeah, we'll need to know that, I think.
13 is a holy number in the Aetherine Church.
Well, that's great, because all of us have 2 13s for our scores.
They do a lot by 13s. Did you guys all take the variant human?
I
Yes.
haven't decided yet.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to.
Every number is odd, Treble. You'll never get a better opportunity to play human.
Right. Also, there's the like I don't know necessarily like what feat I would want to take as an artificer. Like on the bard, I wanted to take like sorcerer, like the sorcery adept to get subtle spell, but
They're going to be melee or ranged?
ranged because our artillerists are they're
Oh, but
cantrip
they're just
blasters.
spellcasters, yeah.
Yeah,
The
cantrip
one that
blasters.
makes your spells irresistible for your primary element, which I think is fire. That's good.
Yeah, no, I think Nodal had that in the first campaign.
Because you're probably just going to cast a lot of firebolts.
Well, you guys are filling out some of the nuts and bolts. I'll just go over these deadly sins. This is the kind of thing that you should probably avoid doing, or at least avoid it being known that you've done. Each one explains what is a grievous sin and then what needs to be done for you to be back in good standing with the church after you've committed it. The first one basically says that hoarding knowledge is a sin. If you learn something new, you need to share it with people. It's sinful to be the only person alive who knows something, whether it be a physical or magical law or some secret you've learned. Basically, secrets are poisonous, and like adding to the book of human knowledge is a noble good for all things. If you commit this sin, if you hoard knowledge and don't share it, you're stripped of title and wealth and are made to enter a life of servitude in the church. They set you to work emptying chamber pots and scrubbing out rooms for the rest of your life. That's how your spirit becomes cleansed. The second law is that destroying things, be it land or people or property or wealth, without need or purpose is a grievous sin. This covers things like arson and murder. If you do these things, your body is despoiled by the church. They take off an ear or put a mark on your face or something, in similar fashion to your crime. That way everybody knows that you've been marked by the church in this way, that you're a murderer, or that you've set fires, or that you've engaged in wanton destruction. None of you are planning to do stuff like that, right? None of this, let's set the inn on fire.
Planning and how things go are very different things with you, Brick Road.
The ends justify the means.
Pretty sure my character is absolutely opposed to anything like that, fundamentally.
So the third and fourth laws are
destructively fundamentally.
So you're definitely not setting the inn on fire.
No, but I might. I'm a little worried about these cultists where there was no casualties after writing that. I wonder what happened to any of them.
The third and fourth laws kind of cover the same thing. The third is that if you give your word, if you give a vow, you have to keep your word. Giving your word with the intention of going back on it later is considered sinful. And somebody who does this, again, they have a mark placed upon their face with blade and fire. And that same mark is placed upon the colors of your household. That way everybody knows that you're an oath breaker and you cannot be trusted. The fourth law is the same thing, but it outlaws compelling a vow with coercion, violence, deception, or undue exploitation. You can't force somebody to give you a word and then in good faith expect the church to hold them to it. If you do that, the church makes you their servant, basically, legally. And you have to live your life as their attendant. If at any point any of you would like to incorporate these laws into your backstory, like, oh yeah, I did that once, I'm an oath breaker, now I have marks on my face. This next one involves being willfully negligent of known physical laws.
Did you say there's a law about don't being stupid?
Basically, yes. Like if you're selling snake oil in town and you're promising like this will grow your hair back and it turns out it can't, and you can't explain to the church some physical or magical apparatus by which it should work, you are guilty of doing this. Stupidity isn't against the law, but being willfully and maliciously stupid is. The church has the means by basically using feeble mind on you, and they will do that to people who break this law. If your mind can't be trusted and you're hurting people, the church will take you, blank your mind out, and then you're just kind of used as a physical laborer in one of their cathedrals. This shit gets dark.
Is this like primarily like noteworthy people, or do they do this to commoners? Seems like a lot of feeble minds for commoners.
In actual practice, this punishment probably does not get doled out very much.
Right.
But it's on the books.
Yeah, okay.
The next 3 laws codify holy days. Every 13th day is Ayer's Day, and a good Aetherine on that day sets aside part of the day for song and prayer. Every 13th day, you're supposed to spend part of the day being pious. And if you don't, the church probably just fines you. Every 13th Ayer's Day is called the Day of Good Works. On the Day of Good Works, whatever your labor or industry is, you're supposed to be bent to the designs of the church. You guys are like archaeologists and things. So in actual practice for you, for example, the church might give you an edict like, hey, on this upcoming Ayer's Day, we have this ruin discovered out in the wood. We want it excavated. We want it excavated like this by these people. And then it would be your job on this day to organize that. You're not supposed to make any profit on the Day of Good Works. And if you're found to be negligent of this, again, you just get fined a portion, 1/13 of your total wealth and labor to the church thereafter. Every 13th day of good works is the day of holy examination, and that is election day. So that kind of comes, I think I had it planned out, it comes around like once every 6 years or so. Yeah, once every 2,000 days or so. This is the day where the commons have the most say. This is where a lot of moving and shaking happens inside the church, and this just happened in this game. It was the day of holy examination. Your family beat out the other family as governor of your province. And basically, you're just not supposed to try to manipulate any of these elections. And if you do, you're stripped of land and title, etc., etc. The next 3 laws talk about what the church's role is in wartime. The church takes no part in wartime. When 2 belligerents are fighting each other, the church is not supposed to take sides, and agents of the church are not supposed to offer assistance to either side. This really wouldn't matter for any of you except for Ekon.
Are we talking about war with other nations?
So traditionally, this would be like 2 provinces warring with each other. In modern days, this doesn't come up a lot.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. That was what I need to have clarified. Thank you.
Right, but if Fernisco was going to go to war with another nation on like a grand scale, officially the church is not supposed to take any part, but unofficially the Aetherine church in each nation would probably bend their support to that nation. You guys would have the advantage in that sense because you're the Holy Republic. It says in times of war, it's okay to kill people as long as they're your enemy. It's okay to take them prisoner. And it's okay to set them to rout, force them to retreat. But you can't do these things in times of peace. In times of peace, you're not supposed to kill people. You're not supposed to enslave them and take them prisoner against their will. And you're not supposed to force them from places where they're allowed to be. And doing these things essentially constitutes war crimes. The third war law talks about the cessation of war. It's okay to kill people during war, but if you've defeated them in battle and offered them mercy, you can't then kill them just for good measure. And same for the other provisions. It's okay to take prisoners, but once hostilities are over, you cannot hold the hostages. You have to set them free. And it's okay to set people to rout, but if you allow them to retreat, you can't then chase them down needlessly. And the last two laws are about the existence of bloodlines. Keeping track of the existence of bloodlines is big, big business with the church. Kind of like the Bene Gesserit from Dune, a little bit. In that no action or inaction from you or your house should cause someone else's bloodline to come to an end. You can't eradicate your enemy house just because you don't like them. And if you're in a war and your foe, like killing your foe, would extinguish a house or bloodline, there are a lot of provisions you're supposed to offer to enable their bloodline to continue. If you don't do these things, your bloodline is stricken from church's records for 13 generations. And the last law is about humanity itself, and it's basically saying you're not allowed to mate with things that aren't humans. If you find something with compatible genitals that is not human, you are not supposed to do anything with it. And if it's found out that you have, you and your offspring are to be put to death. Half-elves are very no bueno. So none of you have broken any of these 13 laws. You guys have stuck to like jaywalking and tax fraud and stuff.
You know, forging patents of nobility, stuff like that. Simple things.
This is the fire and brimstone stuff. In actual practice, it's not very common for people to be brought up on these charges, and and of course there's volumes and volumes of asterisks and texts and exceptions to all of these laws, and it can get very complicated. But if you happen to find out that, you know, a member of your opposing house has banged a half-elf at some point, and you can prove it. But yeah, in actual practice, there's not actually a lot of people wandering around town with like missing ears and marks on their face and stuff. It's not super common. So unless there are other questions about setting material you guys want answered or to establish, I think we can wrap it up. And then next week, actually. Yes?
I was going to say, you're going to have a written version of this stuff, right?
I do. It's a document that goes all the way back to the creation myth of the world and some ancient history stuff, like the lives of elves and dwarves and things. But I wanted to do this session 0 before I actually finish the most recent part of the history. It's not required reading. There's not going to be a quiz. Nobody needs to stress out that they've learned or forgotten something. But yeah, I'll give you that link. Probably later tonight after the stream. I can post it in the Flumph party chat for you. And then I'll share it publicly after that. But it's not my intention that there's like the book of lore that you must know for the setting. A lot of this comes from notes for another setting that I wrote years ago that I'm just kind of adapting and updating. So a lot of this isn't even recent work on my part. Some of the stories are, though. All right. So next week we'll do our first actual session, get into the first adventure, which is going to be you guys probably establishing your manor house in the city and the complications that come with that, and meeting some enemies and some allies. And it'll be super...
I guess I've got a question.
Yeah.
Do I actually have like a boss within the church?
Oh, you will, yes. If you intend to uphold your title of Aethar and work in Aetherine, oh yes, they'll find work for you.
Okay.
You'll probably have a lower level Aethar that you report to, and then he probably sits on a council that reports to the high Aethar, who is a character I have not created yet. I haven't decided which direction I want to go with the Pope.
Other than he has a impressive hat?
Yeah, we've definitely established hats.
Okay.
Big hats are a thing. All right, this gives me a lot to work with. Excellent. All right, we're gonna go ahead and go dark and hash out the character sheet issue, and then we'll get those populated for next week. And welcome to Flumph 5, which does not have a title yet.
Yeah, Game of Flumphs. It's right there.